Micah was the co-founder of the Occupy movement. He took it from Wall Street to the streets of Davos. Now his activist graduate school teaches people how to make campaigns count.
Ultimately, the goal is to create a revolution.
Micah, yeah, I'd like to get your reaction to what the president had to say, but also you put a piece out and you talked about, the two sides, the elites and activists getting together, and this is going to be a pretty messy alliance trying to make this work. Is that the sense you're getting here this year in Davos?
Yeah, and I think that actually we'll find that Trump is going to change his tune, because I think that what we're discovering is that elites need activists, because if we want to accomplish the things they're talking about, like planting 1 trillion trees or doing this large-scale climate mobilization, the only place that that's going to come from are the very activists that Trump is now attacking. I think you're actually going to see him switch his tune on activists and realize that the capacity for activists to mobilize is something that's unique to this particular social group, and that we're necessary now to elites. We're becoming necessary to power, which is why you are now finding us at places like WEF and Davos.
And you said openly there needs to be a new approach from not just from the elite side, but from your side as well. Right. What do the activists need to change in the way they do things to make themselves better heard?
Yeah. Well, I think, I'll be honest with you, I think it's going to be a really difficult choice. I think what's basically being offered to activists is that we can have a global, unprecedented climate mobilization to plant, for example, 1 trillion trees with hundreds of millions of people in the streets. In exchange, I think questions like income inequality and political revolution are going to be put on the back burner. I think that the next 10 years are going to be about climate and mobilization and working with elites, and in exchange, political revolution is going to be kind of sidelined.
Okay, who are you meeting with this week? I mean, again, this messy alliance or whatever you said about it between elites and activists, it has to happen. I know people say to you, why are you going to Davos? This says the wrong things about you and about the movement. You thoroughly disagree with that. Tell us about some of the constructive meetings you've had this week.
Yeah, we actually had a very interesting meeting yesterday. That was kind of an off-the-record Chatham House rules session where we brought together activists in industry and civil society to talk about this idea of, can we form a united front where we are working together as adversaries, but for a higher goal. We're putting aside our differences for a higher goal. And it was fascinating, I'll be honest with you. I mean, I can't tell you exactly what transpired, but the main thing was there was a tremendous hunger. I mean, we had industry in there that represents one person's industry. Their business had 350,000 employees. And there was the hunger for the conversation, to me, signals that we're going to continue. My only concern is I don't think there's much time. We can't just keep having, it's not like I want to come back next year and have the same conversation.
Well, final thought from you. What is a successful meeting for you here as you head back? And no doubt there'll be lots of people saying, I can't believe you're in the mountains with all those elitists. But what is it for you?
Look, I mean, from Davos, I'm going directly to London to meet the founders of Extinction Rebellion to talk about this idea of kind of a united front. So I think success for me is to just interject this pressing question into the mind of elites and activists about how do we actually achieve an unprecedented global climate mobilization? It's going to require something like Occupy Wall Street times 10. And the only place that's going to come from is activists, but it requires elites and governments to take a hands-off approach to climate protests in exchange for basically sidelining political revolution and focusing exclusively on working together on a massive, hundreds of millions of people in the streets is what we need. And so I'm going to go from here to Extinction Rebellion and kind of like interject that debate into activist community.
All right. Look.